Okay, so I'm going to show Winston one of my first choices. Hey, Winston, look. Don't need an upgrade. And you know what? Yeah, it hasn't been upgraded. It's been about, 5, 6, 7 years on the same phone. And it works. Ooh. All right, so it's really interesting. So Winston and I, if you guys don't know, he's my brother. And so often, he'll call and we'll talk about some stuff. And I'm a tutor, and I have probably one of the best jobs in the world. And I have to say that sometimes I'm on such a high from working with my students that I call him up, or he calls me up on some notice, and like, oh my God, like you should have just, today was awesome. I got to do this, we got to talk about that. And he's like, you should really share some of that. I'm like, oh, okay. So what's really interesting is like I talk to this stuff so freely with Winston and with many, many others that you should see how hard it is for me to try and put this on paper. This has been a week and a half, and I'm sitting in my car, and this is like version number 5, and I don't know if you can see how many X's are on here, and on here, and on here, and I kind of thought, what the heck do I have to even to share? It's like, oh my God. So I'm going to do what I normally do and just say, put these over here. And the reason why I thought, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to make it perfect, but by making it perfect, I'm talking from here when I really want to talk from here. And that's what I'm doing with you. So I do apologize if things are a little bit disheveled, but I think it'll come out a lot more naturally and a lot more true. So I'm a tutor, and as I said, I have one of the best jobs in the world. I tutor math, chemistry, physics, and calculus. But I wasn't always a tutor. It was a choice that I ended up making many years ago. I used to work in industry as an engineer. I worked in the high-tech industry. I had a fabulous job. Fantastic coworkers, great perks, wonderful management. I got to travel the world. I met amazing people. I had a great job. And then I had kids. Now, one of the things that happened was, as much as I enjoyed work, there's one thing that work could not replace. There's one benefit they could not give me. And that was giving the time that I was missing out with being with my kids. There's a value to that. There was an absolute value to that. And for me, as every day clicked by, my children I had 2 boys at that time. They were just under 4, just under 2, and I decided, you know what, oh my God, I'm not even focusing at work anymore because all I'm thinking about is not being with my boys. I wasn't being fair to my boys. I wasn't being fair to my husband. I was getting stressed out. I became a person I didn't really like being. I was snapping at my kids. I was losing my relationship with my husband. I was snapping at the dog, and all they wanted to have was my mom, my wife, and a walk. So I remember driving home one day, and I'm falling asleep at the wheel again. I'm stressed trying to get home to get the kids from daycare. I've already called the neighbors twice in 1 week to pick up the kids from daycare because I couldn't make it home in time. I almost got into a car accident. And I'm thinking, this is enough. This is enough. So I went to Mike and I said, my husband, I said, what's a car accident worth? Because it's not worth a paycheck. At that point, I knew I was resigning from my job. I was waiting for a layoff, waiting for the golden handshake, but it wasn't coming fast enough. So I had to make that step. Now, keep in mind, my husband and I are both engineers, so we went from a household of 2 full-time working jobs. We were called DINKs, double income, no kids, okay, at the time. Then we went to single income, no kids. A month or so after I resigned from my job, Mike comes home and says, company's shutting down in a couple months by the end of the year. I'm like, what? We're about to become no income, 2 kids, and a mortgage, and other stresses that come along. I started wondering if I made the right choice. So I started thinking, okay, I need to make an income. I have to make an income. So I started up a home-based business. I was a distributor for a product line, and I was pretty good at it. I made money, but it wasn't fast enough. I'm like looking at the numbers going, I need to make up my income. We have no income. We have no income coming up. Mike only has a couple of months at work. About 2 months after I started up that business, I started up another business. My friend was doing those home party things, you know, and people make a lot of money out of it and are very successful, don't get me wrong. They're great opportunities. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna give it a shot. And yeah, I'm climbing up the level, senior consultant, team leader, but it wasn't bringing it in. You know, I was still making money, but I'm like, oh my God, I need to get some more. So I started up a third line of income. I thought, well, you know what? Since the nights that I'm not doing home parties or doing demos or whatever, I'll just start tutoring again. And tutoring is nothing new to me. I started tutoring when I was in high school. I did it through my university years. I figured, hey, you know what? If I can pay tuition, my university tuition by tutoring, I'm pretty certain I can bring a little bit of extra money. So I started doing that. So I'm doing home parties, I'm doing demos in the daytime, and I'm tutoring whenever I can. One night I came home from another home party. I'm kind of tired. I come inside. I see my husband, and he's washing dishes. Hey, hon, how's it going? Fine. What's wrong? You know, I know you're trying really, really hard to make these businesses work. But it seems like you left work only to work more. And I'm thinking, buddy, I'm trying my ass off trying to get all this stuff to work to make income for the family. What the hell's your problem, you know? And I'm thinking, I was like, I'm just saying, don't forget the reason why you left work in the first place. What was your goal? He was right. I wasn't working at a job, but I was working trying to build these businesses. Barely got to see my kids. I was missing more dinners than I ever had before. My husband barely saw me, and my dog still wasn't getting her walk. Okay? Need to take a step back. I went to a conference, a business conference one weekend, and one of the key topics they were talking about was putting your passion into action. And what the purpose of this whole workshop was, or the seminar, was to really empower us as consultants to build our businesses, right? Because build more business over here as the consultants, they get more money. But what was really interesting is the entire time I'm sitting there listening to these talks, these motivational talks about putting your passion into action, all I can think about is, oh my God, my students, they've got their final exams coming up, and what the heck am I doing here all weekend? They need my help. Why am I gotta get back. So I'm thinking to myself, why am I thinking about my students when I could be building my business, residual income, making more clients, and so on and so forth, but why can I only think about my students and the fact that they need to get through their final exams? That's when I realized what my passion was. Out of all the things I ever did, the one thing that gave me fulfillment out of all the jobs, all the business I had, was my tutoring. Okay. I came out of that passion, put passion to action, and I knew what I had to do. I had to put these other two businesses aside and focus on one and build one and be the most kick-ass tutor I could ever be, right? Got this ass for a reason, might as well use it, okay? So, now, being a tutor, there's a stigma with it for students. Some of them don't want tutors because, you know what, like, oh, geez, I'm not smart enough, I need a tutor. So often what happens is when a student comes in, they think this, as a tutor, most of the time people think, oh, it's just somebody who helps them with their homework. Somebody kind of explains things a little bit differently and, improves their grades, stuff like that, right? I want to be more than just that. I want to be a place where any student who walks in the door knows that they're valued. I want them to know that this is a place where you can vent your frustrations and can gain your confidence. I want them to become successful. But more importantly, I wanted them to know that I'm here to help them with their dreams, to help them along, to make their dreams possible, that make them achievable. That was my goal. I realized that there's more to that as much as I can offer assistance to them and they can benefit from me, I never realized how much I benefit from them. There's this concept that I learned about when my sons were in elementary school. It was called bucket filling. Now, bucket filling is a lot different than a bucket list. Okay, so a bucket list is where you have your list and you're checking off things that you do for yourself to try and fulfill your life, because apparently that's what fulfillment is. Bucket filling works like this. Everybody has this proverbial bucket, and as this bucket gets filled, apparently it makes you happier, okay? And depends on what you fill it with, though. So imagine taking your bucket and you see these beautiful flowers on the side, and you pick these flowers and you fill your bucket. It feels pretty good. Wow, look at this beautiful bucket of flowers. Score, right? Now imagine you see somebody else walking by with their bucket, and their bucket's not quite as full. You go, You take a couple flowers out of your bucket. Here you go. And you put it into their bucket. Now, how does that make them feel? Like, whoa, oh my gosh, thank you so much. That was, wow, thank you. And you know what's amazing? Even though you took something out of your bucket, you handed it over here. Your bucket somehow got a little bit fuller. It's kind of a really neat concept. So you go and, it makes you want to kind of give out a little bit more. But the more that you give out, it's amazing how much more fuller your bucket gets. Now, you think about it. If you have a bucket and you say, I'm going to fill this bucket. I am going to fill my own bucket. And I'm going to fill my bucket with everybody else's stuff. And you start taking and you fill up your bucket. And for some reason or another, your bucket never seems to get full. Because that's not what happiness is. It's amazing how when you give out and make somebody else happier, how it kind of like comes back to you and makes you feel happier. That's what every single one of my students do for me. I am so actually I got to share a couple of things that of very individual students that I've had who really have warmed my heart. I remember getting a phone call one time from a parent and saying, "Can you please talk to my son? He just got suspended from school." Oh, for what? He got caught smoking pot at school. Now he's been suspended and he has to take a workshop and so on and so forth. I'm like, oh, okay. Sure, I'm just the tutor. Okay. Excuse me. So her son walks in and he's looking a little bit shy. And I look at him and said, "Buddy, I know what happened. Do you want to talk about it?" I don't know how to approach these things. I'm a tutor. I'm not a counselor, right? And he goes, and I looked at him, "Do you think you're the first one? I'll tell you right now, you're not." And he says, "I don't want you thinking any differently of me." I said, "Buddy, just because you smoke pot doesn't make me see you any differently. It's okay." It made that connection with me and him a lot stronger because he knew that he was safe with me. That's the number one thing I want my students to know. You're always safe with me, no matter what. The second one that happened, and this was a bigger one for me, there was a young girl that I got to tutor. This was several years ago. She was in grade 12. She was not going to graduate because she hadn't finished her math. She had a pretty good background. She big time family issues at home. Mom had a boyfriend, didn't get along with, was a constant runaway. But she needed help to graduate. First time she came into my house, and now keep in mind, my tutoring's done at my house. Now you can imagine having a young person sitting in a room with a complete stranger for an hour that they've never met. It's a little bit daunting for these teenagers and the young kids, okay? So I need to make sure that I make myself as approachable and as friendly and as open as possible. This young girl, we'll call her Amy. She comes in and I work with her for a bit, and things seem to be getting better. She seems to be warming up to me, opening up. Nice part is, she's starting to understand. She takes her first a test. First one she's passed in probably a couple of years. First math test she's passed. She's happy. Her confidence is growing. Everything's looking good. Like, yeah, score, right? I'm happy with myself because I see she's happy. Then I'm happy. One day, about a couple hours before a session, I get a phone call from her mom. Her mom is obviously in distress, and she says to me, "I'm sorry, Christine, but I think we're going to have to cancel today. She hasn't been home for 3 days, and I have no idea where she is." I'm like, oh, okay, no problem. Don't worry about that. But please let me know if there's anything I can do to help. Pretty big for me, like, oh my gosh, where is she? Now I'm worried about her. Amy, where is she? Where did you go? Like, what happened? I thought things were getting better. Half an hour later, I get a text. "We're on our way." Oh, okay. Sure, okay, now how am I supposed to deal with this? Okay, sure, no problem, no big deal. So in comes Amy. Her mom, she walks in the door, her head's down. I say, "Hey, how's it going?" What else was I supposed to say, right? She walks in, "I have a test on Monday." All right, well, let's take a look. Her eyes are red. You can see she's been crying. Her body language is really, I can tell she was distracted. Obviously, I don't know what happened. It's not really my place to dig. I'm looking at her. I'm trying to kind of get her going on things, been distracting her. But at the end, I can see that this was not going to work. I said to her, "You know what, Amy? I don't know what happened. I'm not going to ask, but all I want you to know is that no matter what, if you ever need a place, if you ever need a person to talk to, that door is open. My door is open to all of my students. And I want you to know that no matter what, I don't care. You need a place, you come through that door." That session actually went pretty well, and she passed her test. About that same night, I got a text from her mom, and she said, "I just want you to know that the only reason she came home was because she had a tutoring session." That was huge for me. It really made me realize what I can do. I have never been more fulfilled in any job I have ever had until now. I will never be a millionaire doing what I do. And excuse me one second. And I don't care, because that's not my goal. My goal was not to make $1 million. I could possibly, build my business, make it bigger, hire some tutors, make more money. But at the end of the day, my focus isn't that. I'm spending time with my kids. I have a relationship with my husband. My dog gets out for a walk. But most importantly, I feel like I'm making an impact. I am so fortunate to work with every single one of those students who walk through my door. As much as they're thankful for me being around to help them out, I'm incredibly thankful for them to have the opportunity to be a part of their educational journey. And with that, just know that as much as I might not be earning the paycheck and getting the benefits, there's a huge benefit to my mental well-being. I'm no longer stressed. I am no longer trying to run the rat race. And I am much more fulfilled. And that fulfillment that I feel after every single student, after every single time I work with them, it's got to be worth something. Because I know that it is. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for being here.